Hi everyone, how are you? Fantastic to see you. Welcome to our 2025 PhD hooding ceremony. Welcome. If you have not been to a hooding ceremony before, I can tell you this is a very moving experience as our faculty and our graduates share a little bit of their Annenberg experience with us. And if you don't believe me, I just discovered a box of tissues up here, so could get a little emotional. But in all seriousness, this day is a really special one. It's a moment to celebrate our graduates, what you all have accomplished, the knowledge that you've created and shared, and what you've meant to your faculty and peers. It's also a moment to acknowledge it takes a village. And many of you in the village are here today. I'd like to acknowledge some of you, starting with the director of our communication school, Hector Amaya. Hector, thank you. Director of our doctoral studies, Hernan Galperin. And our extraordinary communication faculty. And our even more extraordinary, excuse me all, staff, most particularly Sarah Holterman and Anne-Marie Campion. I'm going to ask you two to stand up, please. We got you in. As you all know, you would not be here without them. So thank you, and neither would we. So thank you, thank you. I'd also like to thank your families and special guests. They have traveled this long road with you, and I suspect you all are bursting with pride today. And I'm sure you join me in thanking them for their love and their support. So thank you all. And to you, this class of 2025, thank you. You have enriched this USC Annenberg community intellectually, professionally, and personally in our classrooms as students and as teachers, as partners in our research endeavors, and as friends and colleagues. You bring a rich diversity of backgrounds and, yes, experience to your studies here, creating new knowledge across a wide array of disciplines and subjects that are reflected in your dissertation topics. And I always love reading through the topics as we begin this hooding ceremony. Things like data privacy law, a socio-technical analysis, social media, social support and health outcomes, memes and the vernacular economics of cryptocurrencies, worker dynamics and gig worker well-being in an AI-driven workforce, Google Maps as a tool for establishing worldviews, and so much more. Rigorous and creative scholarship has earned you the distinction of a USC Annenberg PhD and has prepared you to lead the field of communication in this incredibly turbulent and exciting future. Your work at Annenberg has been richly interdisciplinary and reflects both the breadth of your intellectual curiosity and the abundance of your intellectual energy. We know you'll shape the future of these fields and disciplines in roles at top institutions across academy and our industries of practice, because that's just what Annenberg grads do. Thank you all. Congratulations. And I will now turn the program over to Professor Amaya. Placing the tissues right nearby as I do.
Thank you, Dimbe. Wow. It's so good to see you here. It's so good to see you all, to see your faces, to see your families, to see your friends, to see your peers, to see the staff that help you walk along the way, to see all of you here. I'm so happy to have you here. And there is, of course, one big absence that I wanted to quickly mention, Isabel. but she is present in our hearts. She's present in our minds. Today is nonetheless about your accomplishments, about your strength, the strength that has allowed you to achieve this very difficult goal in these very difficult times. And you're a generation that I hope you understand. You're a generation that has gone through really tough 5 years. You know, you began during COVID, and perhaps from today's perspective, with so many new challenges that we have today, COVID seems distant and far away. But you began your PhDs during COVID, and I wanted to briefly reflect on what it meant, perhaps to you, to us as faculty, to us as an institution as well. Personally, I had the privilege of teaching most of you in your first years, and I remember how difficult it was to build community during the COVID years. We learned that Zoom could be okay to deliver instruction, but we needed much more of each other. And never was this clear to me than when I saw you back in the classroom. And I would try to start class, and you would be laughing, blissfully ignoring me for 2, 3 minutes. And honestly, I relish those moments to this day. I know that your intellects can brighten any room, but your laughters too. And I will miss those laughters as you prepare for your next stage in life. And a PhD is a very long commitment. It is intellectually very, very hard, but it is also hard in other ways. A PhD is a test of endurance and of perseverance, our ability to stay focused over long periods of time, and with a future that sometimes seems rather ambiguous and difficult to see, uncertain. A PhD is an exercise in discipline as much as an exercise in knowledge production. A PhD forces us to confront our weaknesses and to overcome them. But there is an important lesson hidden in the process. I hope that you all have learned it by now. A PhD teaches us on the importance of community. Because we don't face any of these challenges alone. You didn't face them alone. I didn't face them alone. When our commitments and our perseverance are tested, we lean on each other. We lean on each other to push through the barriers. We lean on our friends, on our professors. We lean, very importantly, on our families, our spouses, our kids, our friends. Our perseverance is, in a sense, a community gift. And for this reason, celebrating your accomplishments today, to me, would not be complete without celebrating those who help you build perseverance. And so, you being here is partly a testament to your parents. It's a testament to your family, to the values, to your kindergarten teachers. Last year we had a kindergarten teacher in the audience. I love that. As much as also to your PhD instructors and your friends and your peers who ask you, stay focused, one more day, one more page, push to the end. In order to actually do this a little bit more for real, I wanted the graduates to stand up and to help me actually thank all of those who built your perseverance by being the community you needed to have. Please, graduates, stand up and help me thank your parents, your friends, your peers, and your instructors. Thank you. I taught most of these students in the first year, by the way, and those of you who don't know me, as I teach one of the mandatory courses to start the PhD program. I'm feeling rather affected right now by it. It's overwhelming. Thank you, Willow, for... You obviously are, in a sense, the heart of the program, but Ali, Val, Billy is not here, but I see Anne-Marie. I see also Gordon. Where is Billy? Troy. Yes, of course, where is Troy? Oh yeah, Troy. Hi.
Thank you all of you for wonderfully leading this School of Communication. I know that actually the school runs because they are such wonderful professionals. Thank you. And thank you, Sarah, for the care that you actually give on the PhD students. They really appreciate it, I'm sure. Now, let me finish my remarks just with that, just telling you how much I'm going to miss you, and that I hope to be hearing from you at every stage of your new adventures. Please be in contact, not only with me as a person, but with us as a school as well. We want to hear from you. We want to learn your accomplishments. Now let me very quickly introduce Professor Hernan Galperin, the director of the PhD program, and he is the faculty person more responsible for making sure, obviously, that you got everything you needed academically. Thank you, Hernan, for being such a good partner in this endeavor. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Willow. Thank you, Hector. Welcome to the Annenberg PhD hoodie ceremony. Before I start, I wanted to acknowledge that this is Hector's last hoodie as a director of our school. He's not going anywhere, but he will now be part of our faculty, but in a different capacity, we'll continue teaching and inspiring our doctoral students. So as Hector and Willow said, this is a very special moment for the Annenberg community, a moment of joy and celebration, celebrate the remarkable accomplishment of these young scholars. And it's, as both mentioned, it's a class that's gone through a lot. You've gone through a lot. You've gone through COVID, and now you're graduating in difficult times of unprecedented assault in university, on academic freedom and science more broadly. And yet you've overcome the challenges, and here you are. You've done amazing. You've published in top journals. You've won scholarships, awards, and perhaps most important, you are doing research that is impactful, it's critical, and has potential to shape the world and make a positive impact in the world. So thank you for that. And of course, these are not just individual accomplishments. We have a lot of your family, your friends, loved ones that help you accomplish and overcome these challenges. I also want to acknowledge how much you've supported each other. And it was great to see in all the dissertation defenses of the last weeks and months how many of you were in each other's defenses. And yesterday we had a room packed full of students for one of the dissertation defenses. And of course, you come to support and cheer, but also for eating and drinking champagne, which we will continue to do after the hoodie ceremony in our reception outside. So finally, I want to acknowledge my colleagues, the faculty that supported you along the way, your teachers, your instructors, and in particular your dissertation chairs and the dissertation committee members. I'm sure they're also here to celebrate you and celebrate the end of the journey, but also the start of the new chapter.
Just briefly, as the third member of the committee, I want to say, Soyun, it's been a pleasure having you in class. I think I met you the very first day you started at Annenberg. You've come a long way. It's been a pleasure working with you, so thank you.
is the my last name's Anany, and I've been at the beginning of the alphabet my entire life, so I've always been the first one to have to do whatever the choreography is. So we share. I know, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you beat me by a little bit, but Soyun, Dr. An, it's such a treat to be here with you today. I got to know you a little bit later in the program, not quite when you first arrived, because if I recall correctly, you came here thinking about political communication and elections and voting and things that are not really my area of expertise. So there was a good chance that I probably wasn't going to run into you much in the program, and we weren't going to cross paths. But then you did something that for me stands out as this very brilliant and sort of crystal clear piece of evidence of who you are as a scholar and as a person. And that is, instead of sticking with that sort of safe inertia of those questions and topics that you had coming in, which you knew, you changed course. You picked something different. You chose a different specialty, a different research question. You reflected on your own personal experiences as a traveling scholar, a scholar who travels and a traveling scholar. And I would say you kind of rebuilt your motivations for doing a PhD and for doing this program, and you did that extra work in a really sincere way. And mid-pandemic, you convinced me to do a Zoom independent study with you on tourism technology, which is something I knew zero about. And I told you that. I remember I said, I don't think I'm your person. I really know nothing about this. But your curiosity and your energy was so infectious that I agreed, mostly because I thought you would be a good teacher for me to be able to do this. And I also love, I want to say, I love how you end all of our meetings, and this is a ritual I think we have now. You give me a recap of what we talked about, what we both committed to doing, and you're clear on holding me accountable, and verbalizing this mantra, and I can hear you saying it. You say, I can do this, I will do this, it will happen, this is good, things are fine. And you'd say that with me, and it's like, it's a joint thing that you're saying, by the way. I'm not sure you knew that. I think you were doing it for you, but it was for both of us. So anyway, I love that. I would say changing course the way you did with such integrity and honesty and intention, I think it's one of the hardest things we can do as scholars and as people, but you did it. You persevered, you did the hard work, you produced a brilliant dissertation that's not only conceptually sophisticated and empirically rigorous, but it represents who you are and how you care for this planet by caring about the people who move around this planet. So you took a risk and you followed through and you made something smart and you shared with us who you are and what you care about, and you let us get to know that work better. So I can't wait to see what you do as faculty. You'll be starting as faculty in September. And I look forward to walking into an airport someday and seeing your popular press book that we have talked about, not your great scholarly work, but your popular press book that I know I'm going to see on a shelf before I board a flight someday, that's going to help us think about travel differently. And I've seen the cover. You've showed me the cover already, which is pretty amazing. You have that ready to go. But I want to say thank you and congratulations, and well done, Dr. An.
Don't we get to do pictures together at some point? Anyway, so we are co-advisors to Soyun. My name is François Barre, and when I first met Soyun, I forget, it was like 5 years ago or so. She was just coming back from one of those trips Mike referenced. She had walked the Camino de Santiago, several hundred kilometers, miles, several weeks, and came back with all kinds of enthusiasm about this important experience. And she wanted to figure out, how can I work this exciting thing into a dissertation, which was not totally obvious at the beginning. But she started to think about how she could zero in on maps as a communication tool, as a way to express interactions between people who travel and the real world, and how to support interaction and social interactions over the journey. Now, I love maps as well. I use them for hiking. I use them for sailing. I actually even have a joint appointment in spatial sciences at USC. So maps is something that I quickly connected with Soyun about. In her dissertation, Soyun came up with a really clever way to explore the work maps do. And it may be a little bit obscure from the title, Mapping Friction. And what she means by friction is the way in which maps and the people who make them decide what to show and what to hide, and how they shape the way in which people will travel through the world by selecting certain things and taking some things away. There's also a way in which the mappers are trying to get a piece of the action. So they show you restaurants where they might get a deal from you actually buying a meal, or a hotel where you're deciding to stay. So beyond the maps that Soyun used as she tracked the Camino de Santiago, she also studied all kinds of other maps. She looked at the triptychs that you get from the American Automobile Association when you travel. She looked at the way Naver, a company in Korea, competes with Google to provide maps. And each one of those uses friction, uses ways to hide and show things differently, which are really important to the way they shape our interactions and our behavior. Throughout all this, Soyun gives us a really new and productive way to understand maps as a communication device, which is one of the important contributions to our discipline. And it's really deeply transformed the way in which we see the world, and the way in which this will actually change as maps go online. So Dr. An is just about to become Professor An, as Mike mentioned. She's about to take a position at Boston College in Boston. And Boston College, for those of you who don't know, is a Jesuit university, which may not be a coincidence, because the Jesuits have a really strong connection to Santiago. They are actually the order that helps and guides the pilgrims along the way. They've been really important in thinking, and especially their theology thinks of travel, of the journey, as a way to discover yourself and to discover higher beings. So, Professor Han, I think you should be in good hands for the next step of your journey. Maybe you won't even need a map for that next step. So. Congratulations.
We will continue with our next candidate. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize to you. I thought you were supposed to. Please.
It's okay.
Please. I apologize.
Hello, everyone. My name is Soyun An, and thank you, Mike. Thank you, Francois, for introducing my scholarship, but also guiding my journey for the last 6 years. I'm a scholar of travel, but I'll talk about a very dark room very quickly today, hopefully, that my father, who studied German philosophy in the 90s in Germany, I grew up in this apartment where there's a really dark room full of smoke, and my loving father looked so lonely and sad whenever I opened the door, just staring at the computer very angrily. And I didn't know what was going on, but fast forward 30 years, I found myself in a sunny Los Angeles apartment, but also in the same dark place where I was questioning myself, why am I doing this? Will this really matter to anyone? Will anyone actually read this? And is it really worth spending so much of my youth, so many years of my youth, trying to just push one more word? And I just realized every doctor is made in that dark room, but also by the people who shed light into that dark room. So thank you, Francois, when I was just lost and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should continue during the pandemic alone in my apartment, telling me just pursue my passion and try to find something. The field of communication is broad enough for you to pursue what you really like. So I become the scholar I want to be. Thanks to your support over the years, and I always felt so supported having you on my back. Thank you so much, and and thank you, Mike. You gave me the advice you should learn how to say no, but you never said no to me. So whenever I reached out to you, can you be do an independent study with you, be my co-advisor, you always said yes. And Masks has been such an academic home to me. Your rigor, your academic rigor, how it creates opportunity for junior scholars like me. It not only provided me the opportunity to expand my research, but also connected it to real work that I can share with the world, gave me all the opportunity I needed to be here. So thank you so much for all your hard work and supporting me throughout. I would like to thank Hernan, my committee member. Somehow my most empirically rigorous papers all came from your guidance. You always push me to do my best work, and I learned so much about research that's applicable to the real world, learning from you. And I also would like to thank all the professors I worked with as a TA or I learned from. The breadth of Annenberg that teaches how broad communication has been my privilege and enriched my studies so much, like Holland. And so yes, so thank you. And I thank my cohorts, my PhD community. I miss you so much. I can't believe not talking to you for another day, and just going through it has been so valuable. And lastly, thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Sister. I called my mom hundreds of times. She never called me. She was worried she'll disturb me, but always making yourself available and trusting me more when I wasn't trusting myself. And lastly, so as academia and higher education itself is put in that dark room, is it meaningful what we are doing? Where should we go from here? I bring the light you all shed me in my darkest time, and bring it to shed light on where it is most needed as a professor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Soyun. I apologize for the lovely words. Thank you. I was overexcited to introduce you to our next candidate. Now, Dr. Max Richa. Max? Max will be hosted by Professor Henry Jenkins, and the title of Max's dissertation is From Memes to Money, the Vernacular Economics of Cryptocurrencies.
So when I first met Max Richa as an entering PhD student, he was already doing field work at a local megachurch, seeking to understand their multimodal, multimedia worship practices, a project to which he had made significant investments of time. Yet he was struggling with some core ethical and epistemological questions. How could he fully understand what was going on for the participants in the church when he did not have the same religious belief himself? And to what degree did his presence as a non-believer disrupt or distract from their collective activities? This was more than an empty rhetorical gesture. Indeed, these questions would ultimately result in his abandoning this project for one where he was more fully a participant as well as an observer. I was from the start struck by his earnestness, his self-reflection, and his desire to do right in the world. The resulting paper was one of the most considered on issues of methodology that I had read from a graduate student through nearly 35 years of teaching, and left me wanting to work with the student all the more. He disappeared from my life for almost 2 years, but re-entered as a student in my fandom studies seminar where he wanted to do work on cyber currency as a form of participatory economics. He significantly had rewritten and reinvented himself through this point. And he wrote an essay he called Fanning Money, which explored what fandom studies might teach us about Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and other new and emerging forms of currency. Never timid, he'd shift his focus from religion to money. Always ask these small questions that, again, what he produced was extremely sophisticated work in all sense, in its theoretical framing, its curiosity and investigation of a real-world phenomenon that few, if anyone, had written about in this way before, and its close attention to issues of methodology. Can economic investment be a form of participatory observation that represents the financial parallel to the Akafan stance? Brichta assembled one of the most prestigious groups of scholars I have seen on a dissertation committee, and we all, without exception, agreed that his dissertation, Exploring Cryptocurrencies, a Mode of Communication, was one of the most theoretically sophisticated, most urgently needed dissertations we'd read in many years. Its core concepts had taken shape through seminar papers for each of us. It already felt like a book. We could call it a book-shaped object. And he had already been translating the concepts into public-facing op-eds and columns, trying to map what cyber currency meant within a rapidly changing set of configurations under Donald Trump. He leaves here to go to the University of Virginia, where he'll be working with Lana Schwartz and Kevin Driscoll, two other former Jenkins students, all of whom share his interest in currency. My wife wishes some of this financial literacy might rub off on me, but so far no luck. I'm proud to have helped him a little along the way, to a large degree by getting out of his way and also telling him from time to time just how good, very, very good, his work really is. So congrats.
Okay, well, here it is. I've been in school my entire life, up until this very moment. One of my earliest memories was sitting in story time in preschool and pooping my pants. And I've been in school ever since. So literally as long as I could remember. Never. I'm glad that it's finally wrapping up today. There was only 1 year that I took a gap year to try to ace the GRE, the test that we needed to get into this program, until a year after I got accepted, and they dropped that requirement. So very cool. I also taught 9-year-olds English against their will for that year, so just scrubbed that year. I'm really grateful that I got to spend my last 6 years here at Annenberg. I think it was the absolute best place that I could have ended my educational career. And I got a really nice email, email address. It was brichta@usc.edu. So brief, so elegant. At Cal State Northridge, it was maximilian.brichta.246@my.csun.edu. I have no association with the numbers 246. I think they just started going through the even numbers. And anytime anybody asked for my email address, I would just sigh and walk away. So I'm sure there's nobody in the room to thank directly for that, but it's been wonderful, and I wanted to stay here to keep it. That's why I applied last year. So, okay. My colleagues and I, like Soyun mentioned, worry about if our work is going to be important. I literally had to bet on my work being important. When the crypto market crashed in 2022, I was like, oh, well, there goes my research subject and my life savings. So I'm glad that it came back. Some of my professors asked me if I invested in cryptocurrency. I did. I'm not rich. Stop asking. At least I got a degree out of it as a nice consolation prize, and it's, you know, the wealth of knowledge that really matters, right? Ladies? No? Okay, so I'm really grateful for my chair, Henry Jenkins, here. It was an unlikely pair that we would be doing this together. He's sort of the king of pop culture scholarship, and I don't even own a TV. I've probably watched as many movies in this whole program as he's watched this month so far. So, but as he mentioned, like, you've given me so much latitude, but in those times where we did come together, I got incredible feedback, generous feedback, and you really pumped me up and made me believe in myself more than I ever believed in myself that I could pull off. The same could go for Manuel Castells, who couldn't be here, although I got to have dinner with him in his hometown of Barcelona last week. Between you two, it's incredible how much I've been able to see this go way further than I ever imagined. Hector, I've appreciated your presence, your wisdom, your friendship over these years. You've sort of been my advisor without administrative duties, as I like to say. A big thank you to everybody in the comm office, Anne-Marie, Val, Ali, Troy, especially Sarah. Sarah's fielded some of my most bonehead questions over the years. One time I asked her if the department would pay for a sailing class for me, and she asked why. And I said it's going to help me navigate the choppy waters of writing a dissertation. I didn't get that funding. But Annenberg found a way of helping me make my seafaring dreams come true. They placed me as a TA with Bob Shear. Bob let me take his boat out one time at the Cal Yacht Club. I crashed it. It wasn't that bad. Don't let him make you think it was if he tells you the story. So for one last time, I'm sorry. And thank you for all the buffets and all the time that we've gotten to share in this room together. Lastly, a huge thank you to my Uncle Nicky, who's here today, who's provided a home for me over these last 6 years. I couldn't have done this without you, so thank you so much. I think it's fitting that the robe that I'm wearing today is red. The last week before I graduated high school, I got suspended, and we won't go into that. And I wasn't able to walk at my high school graduation. So this is an honor to wear the red robe for the last time at the end of this education journey. And with that said, I think we all look ridiculous, and I'm looking forward to taking it off. So thank you all.
I think you all look great, by the way. We will continue now with our next candidate, Dr. Nicole Bush. Nicole will be hooded by Professor Hector Amaya. The title of Nicole's dissertation is Sex Work, Affective Labor, and Black Femme Digital Affective Activism.
Do we have I'm going to press the button. Okay, where is the button? Oh, I see. Nicole, Dr. Bush, I'm so proud of you. I met Nicole at the first year that she started her PhD, and I'm honored that you actually kept me walking along your side all the way to the end. I know that that throughout the years, the process has been one that it is difficult, revelatory at times, and that your dissertation also has morphed and changed and shape-shifted, but the outcome was fantastic. We were just in the dissertation defense a few days back, and I was the most impressed. I was impressed by many things, but Dr. Sarah Van Weiser, who is the chair of her committee, will be actually doing remarks after me. She's at Penn, and she couldn't be here in person, so I will not cover the things that I know she covers. But one thing she didn't cover is the extraordinary methodological work you did in that dissertation. And it is exemplar of how you do a dissertation that honors your collaborators, who are treated not simply as objects of a study, but as intellectual partners. It is so extremely rare to actually have such a sophisticated understanding of what methods should be. Any students who are trying to actually think with human subjects, collaborators, read her dissertation. It is a textbook example of how to do it. I wanted to be brief, Nicole, and I wanted to thank you again for including me all the way here. Professor Sarah Van Weiser has much more to say. Thank you.
Be there in person, but I wanted to say that it has been such a pleasure to work with Nicole over the past 4 years. From the moment that she began her PhD studies at Annenberg, she had a clear purpose and goal in terms of her future research and teaching. I met her during her first year as a doctoral student, and after only a few conversations, I was more than excited to work with her. And perhaps most exciting to me has been the way that Nicole embraces the interdisciplinary nature of the field of communication. Her own research interests are equally interdisciplinary. She is more than capable of traversing within and between a variety of different disciplines and methodologies, and she's truly unique in her open-mindedness and her enthusiasm for her work. Nicole's work is creative and innovative. She's a remarkably disciplined scholar. Most importantly, she is deeply committed to creating and sustaining a compassionate and caring work environment. I've learned so much from working with her. Her dissertation, which is titled Black Women Activist Digital Practices, Amplifying the Conditions of Possibility, takes as its focus Black women activists online, and she grounds her thinking in historical foundations and an ethic of care. Using a mixed methodological framework, Nicole's dissertation is a true tour de force. She challenges the contemporary focus on digital activism by centering Black women and has a deep knowledge of the kinds of constraints and regulations that Black women activists are particularly susceptible to. She develops an analytic of what she calls affective digital labor that is informed by Black feminism, media activism studies, and networks of care. And she is absolutely convincing in her argument that it is this kind of theoretical framework that is necessary. Black women activists are typically less visible in the media and in the community, and they often receive less acknowledgement and resources than their male counterparts, even though, as we know, Black women in the United States have an extensive history of activism. So her project is one of both revision and reclamation. She closely analyzes through interviews and content analysis, through careful historical research and astute theoretical interventions, the many ways that Black women have a unique role in digital activism. By focusing on these actors, she argues that that is the way to move forward in terms of social change. Nicole's work expertly intertwines theories from a variety of disciplines. She utilizes historiography to situate history, to understand the present context. And she's a Black feminist theorist who investigates unexpected places, Instagram, digital activism, sex work, for experiences of community and solidarity, as well as dispossession and regulation. It's been a hard 4 years for all of us, and I am so proud of Nicole and the work that she's done, the beautiful dissertation she has written. We've been through a lot together, and it has been wonderful to get to know her as both a scholar and a friend. So congratulations, Nicole. I really wish I could be there to hood you. I'm just so proud of you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. As Hector has brought up, I began this program in August 2020 during the height of COVID. My whole first year was online. My second year was more so hybrid. And it was very isolating from the very beginning. And this sense of distance, emotional, intellectual, and physical, never really fully went away. Still, I've cultivated and held on to care because of the Black femmes and women's in the community that have come before me and that I've cultivated throughout this program. I've come to understand that care is not something that we must purchase or that emerges naturally, but something that we build and enact in community and relation with one another, especially when things are different and hope is hard to access. Care can guide us. The Contemporary Collective and Audre Lorde understand care as collective work. Engaging with their work and the work of other Black feminists throughout this program has helped me feel a part of something important. And being a part of this important tradition has sustained me. Care is not an escape from difficult times, but offers instead a way through. When I say care, I mean the deliberate collective actions that allow us to persist, sharing laughter, resources, holding each other accountable, and fostering community allows us to better resist systems designed to isolate and oppress us, and to do so with greater compassion, ease, and community. This type of radical care is something we can all tap into, not just Black women, but anyone willing to practice it with intention, consistency, humility, and accountability. To my family, my partner, my committee, and the whole Annenberg community, thank you for the care that you've offered, for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. I would like to thank you, my father, Dr. Hector Bush, for always telling me that completing my PhD was my destiny, even when I couldn't see it for myself. And to everyone here, I hope you keep choosing care in these increasingly uncertain times. It might not be easy, but it's what the world needs now more than ever. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Rohan Grover, Dr. Rohan Grover, who will be hooded by Professor Mike Anany. Rohan's dissertation is titled Consent Theater, a Socio-Technical Analysis of Data Privacy Law in Action.
Dr. Grover, so lovely to see you. So in thinking about what I wanted to say today, I went back and looked at the very first email that you sent me 5 years ago, floating the idea of coming to Annenberg to work together. And I'm not going to quote from it because your dissertation has taught me that doing so would not align with complex ways of understanding online consent. So I won't do that. But in rereading that email, two things stood out to me that I wanted to share. The first is that you just always had your act together in a way that is so impressive and that inspires confidence and that makes people want to work with you. The email was pitch perfect, I gotta say. Your organization, professionalism, conscientiousness, tenacity, it makes it easy and joyful to work together. And I've often forgotten that I was in this advisor role sometimes. And it's a mark, I think, of respecting yourself and respecting others. And I thank you for that. And I watched you deploy these strengths, I think, of professionalism and tenacity to develop this deep, deep command of literatures and debates and methods and all of these ways of speaking across fields. one of our committee members mentioned, basically said, you kind of went to all of the theories, like all of them, and in this deeply impressive way that showed you have so many ways to pivot. And I think this is going to make you continue to be a leading scholar, and that's going to serve you well in your faculty role as a professor at American University that you'll be starting out soon. But rereading that email also reminded me of something else about you that I didn't know then, but I do know now. And that is that you take work seriously, but I don't think you take yourself too seriously. And that's a compliment. And that might seem like a small thing to say, but especially today in this world and at this time, I see you finding a kind of playfulness and joy and absurdity, and we've had lots of moments where you sort of rolled your eyes at things that were happening in the world around, and seeing potential in this sort of precarity, this uncertainty, and an ease with not knowing that I would say maybe I'm not sure you had when you first came into the program. And I think that ease with not knowing and that comfort with not knowing is deeply admirable. So I think you have a way of sort of standing outside of yourself and outside of situations to take perspectives. And that's something that I think we desperately need right now. I saw this, I would use the word equanimity, in your leadership of the Annenberg graduate student government. And I think we're all appreciative of all the things that you did in that role. In navigating the chaos of last spring, in the work that we did in the AI Center, in juggling so much this past year, and in a brilliant dissertation that I've read it many times, several times, but that sort of calmly but playfully returns to this phrase, quote, "Things could be otherwise." And that's such a lovely phrase. So I'm going to say congratulations and say thank you, and I hope that as a faculty member, you soon get an email from a prospective student that leads you to a day like this. So congratulations.
Thanks for those words, Mike. So just a heads up, my coping strategies for not crying are to read from a script, avoid eye contact, and be sarcastic. So that's just what to expect. So I actually was going to pick up where Mike also picked up, which was when I was applying to graduate schools. Although a couple months before that, USC was nowhere on my radar, largely because I didn't want to be so far from my family, from the East Coast, and also because I didn't want to have to drive so much. But a faculty member at a different institution that I was talking to heard about my research interests and recommended that I reach out to somebody at USC. And so the next week, we got onto a Zoom call, and that very day, I decided to apply to Annenberg. After I got in, so I subjected Mike to I considered a bit of a screening process, or a defense, if you will, of including several emails and phone calls to confirm both that he had no plans to leave and that he could handle what I needed from an advisor, i.e. the anxiety he alluded to. So Mike, you passed that test. Thank you. Congratulations. But seriously, thank you for withstanding all of my advising debriefs and meeting agendas and long emails that did not stop when I got in. And for your mentorship and kindness, both academically and far beyond. I've been told that I resemble being your student, and I'm proud of that. Thank you also to my committee members, to Jennifer Peterson, who has been such a source of support in all kinds of ways as well in the past couple of years, and to Christina Dunbar-Hester and Wendy Chun for always anticipating where I need to go next, and also reminding me of what values brought me here in the first place. Thank you to everybody above the ground floor in Annenberg, including Sarah, Val, Ali, Anne-Marie, Billy, and Troy, as well as a number of mentors, Hector, Colin, Francois, Allison, Laura, and Hernan, for your mentorship and support and leadership in all kinds of ways. Our PhD community has gone through a lot of ups and downs in the past few years that Hector alluded to, including some that we may never fully recover from, like at times feeling physically, emotionally, and even intellectually unsafe on this campus, and also losing our friend Isabel. So I want to say thank you to all of you for our collective friendship and solidarity that really helped me persevere, especially for our picnics, our board game nights, our late nights out in LA, pickleball, and other activities that apparently called for bringing camping gear onto campus last year. For legal purposes, that's a joke. Thank you to my family for entertaining my lifelong fascination with obscure topics, especially as my career grows increasingly niche and complex and inaccessible. I'm grateful that so much of my family is here today to celebrate with me, including my mom, my dad, my uncle who flew all the way here from India. Avoiding eye contact. And my and my sister Shilpa and brother-in-law Alex, who will soon also be my neighbors in DC. Can't read this. I want to thank my husband Noah. Debating whether to try it or not. Okay. I remember sitting with him in a cafe in Sydney, and he told me about how he was writing his master's thesis about the work we did together in India, and how it related to this idea called the public sphere. And I asked him what that was, and he said, "You haven't heard of Habermas?" He then explained Habermas to me in like 10 minutes, and that conversation was one of the many ways in which Noah teaches me new things every day. I'm going to stop reading that now. I'll tell you later. But his voice is really in my head whenever I'm tempted to use jargon in particular, and he says not to. And nothing is more satisfying than reading my work to him and looking up and confirming that he has not fallen asleep. So thank you, Noah, for being my source and barometer of achievement. Finally, the sarcastic part. I want to thank USC for teaching me all kinds of unexpected lessons. For example, if I ever have to come across a situation where it's important to undermine a campaign for living wage, for contingent faculty, or for graduate students, I can pull from the USC playbook. And I really can't wait for this fall when I'm able to bring our president, Carol Folt, into the classroom as a case study when I teach a class on media censorship. But seriously, as ambivalent as I'm about USC as an institution, Annenberg has brought together this wonderful group of people right here that I love so much. So thank you all for being part of this. Thanks.
Our next candidate, and now Dr. Anna Bukovski. Anna will be heard by Professor Josh Kuhn. Anna's dissertation is titled TV is Okay, Artist Cable in Los Angeles County, 1970-1984.
So Anna and I always joke that whenever we're together, it's not actually not even a joke, whenever we're together, we inevitably will be wearing pretty much the same outfit. It happened the first time we met, I believe it was a crew neck sweatshirt and gold chain, maybe, and it happened just yesterday at their defense. I think it was also a crew neck sweatshirt and gold chain. Though Anna pulls off the gold chain way better than I ever should be allowed to even try. But today just might be the greatest outfit twinning of all, and nothing could make me happier. Though we are oddly not in the same color, which is a little disturbing, but we're here. This has been a great journey with a great mind. Anna joined our program coming from the world of art and art history, which is not a typical fit for our program, but was a perfect fit for me. And I couldn't have been more excited to work with a student
who was so well versed in contemporary art practices and theories, a student who knew visual and performance art, as well as they knew the latest in Moroccan trap albums, and pioneering AI pop influencer Lil Michaela, if you know, you know. Anna had written about the former in sparkling prose for the Fader magazine and had worked with the creator of the latter on the ground floor of early social media experiments with AI celebrity. Both are good examples of Anna's range as a thinker, writer, critic, and practitioner. And there were early signs that Anna would not be following a conventional PhD path. My conversations with Anna always started with something that we were supposed to be talking about, like a seminar or a quals list that probably lasted like 5 minutes, I'd say, in most of our calls, and inevitably we would jump quickly to debates and issues that were breaking across the current media and arts landscape, and to what exhibitions, performances, and shows I had inevitably missed in the week prior. The cool factor is very strong with this one. And Anna always kept me guessing. What would be the next move? Would they even want to finish the degree? Would they even need to finish the degree? Anna's polished writing and public-facing critical media and arts chops meant that they could easily punch their own ticket in a variety of arts, museums, and creative industries. But once the dissertation idea started to take shape, I knew we had to get to this finish line. Dissertation, TV is okay, Artist Cable in Los Angeles County, 1970 to 1984, is a remarkable tour de force that is wholly original and a much-needed study on the role of artists in the formation of Southern California, public access television, and the role of cable TV in influencing artistic practice in 1970 Southern California. Centered around the Long Beach Museum of Art, the dissertation explores the encounter between art and TV in the age of cable, and what Anna calls the creation of artists' cable, a network of artists who use cable networks to make art and to make television. Anna adds artist cable to wider histories of art and communication that, frankly, I always regret we don't talk about enough here in the Annenberg School. Everything from the Center for Art and Communication in Argentina to global histories of digital art, and of course, contemporary debates and conversations about art and AI. Based on deep archival research at the Getty Research Institute and over 20 artist interviews, producing research that included everything from critical readings of grant applications and administrative memos to analysis of letterhead and font choices, Anna's dissertation is an archival joyride, a meticulous and granular institutional history of one art museum and the artist networks that it spawned, and a sparkling addition to LA media, arts, and cultural history. Dissertations look at the 1970s and 80s attempt to reimagine a museum as a cable station, delivers a preview of where so many museums are now, reinventing themselves as media hubs, maker spaces, and galleries ready for activation through new technological innovation. I can't wait for this to be out in the world as a book, or better, I'm going to say it here, better, an experimental catalog that becomes a limited edition must-have deep dive into one corner of LA art and media history. Anna, it's been such a pleasure to work with you and learn from you, and I'm so excited for whatever comes next.
I've already spent 7 years here, so I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. But going a little off script, I was reflecting on, as Josh said, I come from a background in art history, art historian by training, and ended up here as a result of doing my master's many years ago in McGill's Department of Art History and Communication Studies. That was a department where I entered an art historian and came out realizing that it was a theories of media communication that really got me going. And after spending a couple of years working in fashion, I decided it was time to come back to academia, and it was Jonathan Stern and Carrie Rentschler, two faculty members there, who really pushed me to come here and work specifically with Josh. Jonathan passed away this spring, so he's deeply on my mind as I make my passage to whatever's next. And as I said to the then remaining members of my cohort who graduated last spring, leaving me the last one, I won. I'm mostly kidding, and it's in some ways a little bit lonely to be the last one from my cohort to cross this stage. But I also know that I'm finishing this degree with the conviction that I did it exactly in the way that I needed to do it, and I'm very grateful to this department for allowing me the grace to do it in my way. There's just many people I want to thank, and I'll leave it at that. I want to begin with thanking my family, to my parents, Nina and Bill, Dr. Howe and Dr. Bukovski, to my brother Nick. Thank you for everything. Your support is really the greatest gift of my life, and I love you very much. Thank you to my advisor, Josh Kuhn, for really impressing upon me the importance of being exactly where you are, for steadfastly supporting me in my project, even when, I sort of disappeared for long stretches, and for trusting me through and through. Thank you to my committee members, Henry Jenkins, Tara McPherson, and Jean Vaccaro, and to the many, many faculty members across multiple departments who I had the privilege to work at here at USC. You all really helped cultivate my ideas, my curiosity, and encourage me to produce my best work possible. To our program administrator, Sarah Holterman, our graduate advisor, Anne-Marie Campion, to Val, Billy, and everyone else in the office, without whom every single person in this room would be lost. My appreciation for your work cannot be overstated. To the friends, colleagues, and comrades at USC, past and present, thank you for allowing me to find home within this university. Special thanks especially to Adam, Carlene, Simone, Jessica, Carrie Ann, Pratik, Rohan, Hamsini, Yosh, Zara, Perwana, Pam, and too many others to thank here. To all of my friends and my loved ones for your companionship, this has been integral to my experience. Thank you for supporting me and for your love, your humor, and your care. Thank you to my love, Charlotte Pradier, who supported me beautifully through these most tough months of writing, and to my two co-authors, Jones and Valentine, you have my heart. To all the artists, curators, and art workers who I had the honor to collaborate with as part of my dissertation, I want to thank them deeply. They all make this city better, more just, more livable, and ultimately more beautiful. And finally, I just want to say that the two proudest achievements of my time here at USC are not uniquely my own, but rather a result of the collective work of the student body. These are our victories in forming a graduate student union, UAW 872, in 2023, and the Gaza Solidarity Encampment last spring. The collective energy, vision, and political tack of these projects modeled to me more just ways of living and being together. It's been the highest honor to stand and work alongside you, not only as colleagues, but as comrades. When we fight, we win. Thank you.
Next is Iljin Yang, Dr. Yang. Dr. Yang will be hosted by Professors Robin Stevens and Lindsay Young. Her dissertation is titled Online Social Support Discourse Structure and Social Media Affordances, a Comparative Analysis of Twitter and Reddit's Long COVID Communities.
Eugene, Doctor, I have ceded my time to Lindsay, so she will give it the longer part of your recognition, but I just want to say a few things for you. It has been my pleasure and my honor since I first met you in HealthCom, and you already had your dissertation idea ready to go, and you would not be moved, and all you did was grow, and you made it more complex, integrated, and you always have offered to us, to the team, quiet but rigorous leadership You have been steady the whole time, even if on the inside you felt unsteady. You have really been a model for so many of us and for our students. And what I would like to leave you with is, girl, you are brilliant. Trust that voice. It's time for you to step into the spotlight, because what you have is something special.
I'm going to grab the tissue now. Okay. So I'm going to start with a little funny story, a little off script. Thinking about crowning achievements, I was also thinking about Mike's email story about Rohan. So I have a funny story, email story about Eugene. So although Eugene called me Lindsay to my face when we had meetings, it took her 3 years, I think, to call me Lindsay in an email. She would call me Professor Young. And I tried my best to reply and be like, no, you can call me Lindsay. I'm a very casual person. I would, no formalities. And didn't budge. And then I realized, this is in many ways part of her upbringing, her culture, and I'm just going to let her, we'll see what happens. And then, out of the blue, I got an email, and it said Lindsay. And I cannot tell you, and I'm being very serious, my heart swelled like 10 times. I was like, okay, it really was an achievement, and I was very, very warmed. And I knew it just took her, this is a big adjustment for a lot of our international students who come from different cultures, different kinds of educational backgrounds, where authority and your mentors, you refer to them in more formal tone. But it was a really happy day for me when she finally called me Lindsay in an email. Okay, so like Nicole Bush and Iljin Lee and Essence Wilson, Eugene and I started our paths here at USC in the fall of 2020. Now, we all know what happened that year. The thrill of starting a new chapter in our lives was subjugated to a global pandemic that left all of us physically isolated, with only the extremely unhealthy blue light of our computer screens providing a way for us to connect. So suffice it to say, it was rough. One might say like starting a marathon uphill. Before Eugene, something really beautiful also came out of that struggle, which is her dissertation project. You see, for the past 5 years, Eugene has been studying people with long COVID, or long haulers. For those of you who don't know, long haulers are those who experience long-term effects of COVID infections, such as loss of taste and smell, severe fatigue and brain fog, just to name a few symptoms. And because of how challenging it is to get a proper diagnosis for what are often invisible symptoms, and the severe public skepticism and stigma and gaslighting that they experience, many long haulers turn to social media to build community and to crowdsource the social support that they don't get from offline sources. Eugene's work examines how the affordances and constraints of social media platforms that host these communities, like Twitter or Reddit or Facebook, influence how social support is expressed and exchanged, and critically, the way in which long haulers themselves experience these spaces and how that affects their health and well-being. Now, just 5 days ago in her dissertation defense, I had the honor of bearing witness to the culmination of her commitment to that work. And what gets me every time I think about this is that in that hot mess of a first year for her, when she was probably dealing with her own COVID-related stress and trauma, and she was back home in South Korea, so she was also extremely distant from everyone else here in Los Angeles. When she was dealing with all of that, she chose to privilege the trauma of other people, of long haulers, and give them a voice in her research. I think for academics, there's a lot you can learn about someone on the basis of what they choose to study and how they approach their work. And what I've learned about Eugene through her work over these past 5 years is that she's compassionate, as evidenced by the care and grace with which she approaches communities who struggle to be seen. She's also incredibly diligent in the way that she studies and works with these communities, giving her utmost attention to making sure that she's correctly understanding and representing their experiences and stories. And finally, this field is not for the faint of heart. It can torment you, it can beat you up, and spit you out to dry at times. I may just be projecting here, I'm sorry. But in the face of those adversities, I have seen Eugene harness a deep strength that I admire tremendously. As Eugene closes this chapter of its journey, it's hard not to feel like I'm not losing something, as her compassion, diligence, and strength have been often incredibly important gifts to me. But I'm also heartened by the fact that she will soon start a new chapter as an assistant professor at Rochester Institute of Technology, where I have no doubt that she will share these qualities with her new colleagues and students and mentees, and will continue to grow and shine. And all I ask of you, Eugene, is that you know in your heart that you will always have a mentor, a collaborator, and a friend to me.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Eugene, and thank you so much for joining today. I will start off script. So I had the opportunity to teach public speaking at USC, and the first rule I told them was do not read off the script, and I will take points off of you. But I'm sorry, I'm going to break my rules today. I might have to read off script. Also, I was very harsh at grading them and told them that you should not read off your script. You have to prepare your notes, and especially for the special occasion speech, try to make it personal. I tried so hard yesterday, but it was the hardest speech I had to write in my entire life. So please bear with me if it's not the most perfect speech as others have delivered. So I'm filled with gratitude more than anything else today. This moment marks the end of a chapter, and I know I didn't walk it alone. First, I would like to thank my advisors, Dr. Lindsay Young and Dr. Robin Stevens, for their mentorship, their patience, and all the hours they spent reading my drafts and also pushing me grow as a scholar. And as Lindsay mentioned, I joined USC as the pandemic cohort, so I think we had a more special bonding as well as my cohort friends. I also want to thank Dr. Jennifer Peterson, who has supported me since my first year at Annenberg, as I meant her as my first-year mentor. Although I can't name everyone here, I feel incredibly inspired by all the professors that I've worked with, that I've taken classes, and that have taught me so much invaluable lessons. Also, a huge shout out to Sarah and Anne-Marie, who I truly couldn't have been here, literally, if it wasn't their help. So thank you so much for making me stand here today. And I'm also sincerely grateful to my parents, who flew 11 hours from South Korea just to join the ceremony. And also, I know that I've been a student for much longer than you expected, but I really want to thank you for your unconditional support until today. Also, to my boyfriend Eric, thank you for being by my side, especially during the toughest days. As Soyun mentioned, when I was in the dark room, he was able to get me out of that room. Lastly, to the friends I've made at Annenberg, thank you for walking alongside me through the challenges and the ups and downs. Without this camaraderie, I wouldn't have made it through. I wish my dear friend Isabel could be here with us today, and she will always hold a special place in my heart, and she'll always be remembered as our core. Thank you all so much, and congratulations to everyone.
Our next candidate and now doctor is Dr. Fes Nan. Fes will be hooded by Professor Lynn Miller and again Professor Lindsay Young. The title of her dissertation is Social Support for Better Health, Insights from Structural and Functional Perspectives.
Good afternoon, everyone, and especially to Feiju's parents who's flown in from China. With 2 chairs and 1 minute each, I'll focus on Feiju's academic accomplishments, which is really hard to do in a minute. Feiju already has 9 publications and lots more in the works. Many of these focus on social anxiety and the link to social support, which is her dissertation topic. I think the thing that I've always found remarkable is that you always seem to think outside the box and to use new tools, to use interdisciplinary approaches, and to really dream big. An illustration of that is, I think, on our NSF grant, where Feiju is taking the lead on a project to understand how, this is with engineers and with computer scientists, and with a robot interacting on Zoom. And Feiju is taking the lead on a project to understand how cohesion and engagement within social support groups may emerge due to network dynamics that are assessed partly in terms of group member verbal and nonverbal cues. I should say that emergence in our field has been pretty much a metaphor. We haven't really done it. We haven't studied it, really. But Feiju may lead us to empirically understand its complexities for the very first time. And that's not even one of her dissertation studies. As another example, Feiju's dissertation involves 3 innovative studies designed to each be publishable and to lay the groundwork following her dissertation, which has all been in the works for many years, for a testable intervention for individuals with social anxiety disorder using a variant of cognitive behavioral therapy with social network components involving an intervention that's just never been done. It's really been my honor to be her co-advisor and to witness her exceptional professional and personal accomplishments as she embarks on a prestigious postdoc at a leading CFAR center at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Soyun An has the personal fortitude and the professional drive and abilities to be a transformative scholar in her field. She's always made me proud. I know you will continue to make us all proud.
Okay, thank you for just a lovely synopsis of everything that Fei Shui has done here. In many ways, I want to start where I ended with Eugene, which is that, well, they often came as a package, but they are also very unique people. But it is really hard for me to imagine my time here at USC without the 2 of them. So with the time that I have, I'd like to say a word or 2 about Fei Shui's character. And I want to do that through what I learned about her name. So several years ago, I was hosting a Zoom community advisory board meeting for a project that Fei Shui was a part of with several other students. And as an opening icebreaker, I asked folks to share one thing about themselves that they would never change. For Fei Shui, that thing was her name. If my memory and a little help from ChatGPT serves me correctly, her name means something like flying snow. Is that close? Okay. Thank God. Which is meant to evoke a sense of purity and beauty and grace, much like freshly falling snow. Now, the Zoom room at the time was immediately filled with heart emojis, and if your heart is not swelling right now, then you have no heart to speak of. Like the research we do, our names reveal a lot about who we are as people. Indeed, Fei Shui's namesake, grace and lightness, for anyone who knows her, are 2 of some of her most defining features and characteristics. But it would be a grave mistake to think that these traits are indicators of fragility. To the contrary, over the past 5 years, I have seen tremendous strength and resilience in Fei Shui. She's tackled initial language barriers when she first came to this country, an isolating global pandemic, long periods of time away from home, a grueling job market, and the discomfort of having to promote yourself on that job market when you're a natural introvert, which I know can be very, very painful and hard. A different person may have faltered, but here she is on the other side, smiling and full of light. So I have to think that her grace is in fact her strength, as I believe it's what's helped her find her way to the finish line. Soon Fei Shui will embark on the next chapter of her journey as a postdoc at the University of Alabama, Birmingham's Center for AIDS Research. That's that CFAR that Lynn was talking about. And there she's going to apply her training in health communication, network science, and computational methods to tackle HIV disparities in the Deep South. And no doubt her grace and strength will once again carry her through the natural challenges that we all face when starting something new. Fei Shui, you probably don't know this, but you have been my rock for these last 5 years. So it goes without saying that I will miss you. But I'm also really excited for you to join forces with a new community of scholars and community members who, in today's very fraught research and political climate, are really going to need all the grace and strength that you have to offer. And so I'm so very proud of you. And the University of Alabama CFAR is incredibly lucky to have you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for my scratchy voice. Turns out that finishing a PhD is rough on more than your brain. And I'm very excited and grateful to be standing here celebrating this milestone with all of you. It still feels like yesterday when I happily clicked on accept on my PhD offer, or when I first landed in LA, this great city, very ready to start my whole new chapter here. But now it's time for me to say a formal goodbye to everyone here, to Annenberg, and to this city that means so much to me. And I have so many people to thank. And first, my parents. Thank you so much for the unconditional support and love. I cannot go through this process without you. And, excuse me. You taught me the value of education, not only through the words, but through what you have done. And you have lifted me up in every possible way and be trusting me enough to encourage me to chase my dream, even though from far away. 谢谢爸爸妈妈，我爱你们。And I also want to thank my two amazing advisors, Lynn and Lindsay. You've been always very supportive. And I want to thank you for guiding me not only as a researcher, but as a person. You taught me how to think deeply, how to do research rigorously, and also, more importantly, be kind and generous as a scholar and a teacher. And I also want to thank my committee member, Robin. I've learned so much from you as well, and I will carry those lessons with me into the next chapter. I also want to thank my dear friends sitting in this room or being away from me at this moment. I believe there is a time for us to be reunited. You are my people, and we have cried together, laughed together. We vented on each other and leaned on each other. You are the reason why LA now is not only a good city to me, but a home. You made this place so warm and sweet. As we all now head into different directions, I just want to wish everyone the best in the future. And all of you have inspired me on my work about social support. The more I studied about it, the more I realized just how important, how much your support is meant to me. And now today we've all made it. I just say thank you once again for being part of my story, and the connections we've made here will stay along. Thank you so much.
Our next candidate, now Dr. Pam Param. Pam will be quoted by Professor Jennifer Peterson, and the title of Pam's dissertation is Liminal Species, Extinction, Refusal, and the Social Lives of the Dead and Disappeared.
Okay, so Pam's chair, Professor Christina Dunbar-Hester, couldn't be here today, but she asked me to say a few words on her behalf. Christina says, congratulations, Pam, Dr. Paramon. Pam's dissertation concerns public understandings of extinction. Her case studies of what she calls extinction refusal explore communities organized around contesting the status of a given animal that has been designated extinct by the scientific establishment. Pam makes a persuasive argument that how extinct species like the California grizzly bear or the ivory-billed woodpecker are discussed, displayed, and commemorated is a matter of public importance. She shows that extinction afterlives, far from being fringe or frivolous, provide key insights regarding how to collectively and ethically manage a shared present and future with other people and other creatures in an ongoing mass extinction. Going forward, we will need critical humanistic analyses of extinction and how to communicate about extinction more than ever. I wish you the very best as you pursue public intervention into ecological knowledge and feeling in your new position with the Santa Barbara Wildlife Care Network. And while I'm up here, I think I have a few more seconds, and I want to add my own congratulations on being done and on your new position, which is very, very exciting. And I want to say what a pleasure it has been to work with you on this project and this dissertation. And I think the first time I encountered it was in the STS core class a long time ago, where you wrote a really wonderfully researched and original paper on the ambivalent extinction status of the ivory-billed woodpecker, which was a very new thing to me. Since I have been able to watch it grow into a project, and along the way I have learned a lot. And I've learned this in your research, but also in conversations with you about things from the birds of Highland Park and Mount Washington neighborhoods, to the cultures of museum curators and birders, to the nitty-gritty of taxidermy, and to what I thought was kind of a weird fringe group of de-extinction startups that I've recently been reading about on the front page of the New York Times. So if you have seen any pictures of those de-extinct direwolf pups, Pam can tell you a lot more about that. I'm delighted to have been part of your grad education and your DIS team, and I'm super excited for your next steps in your position. Pam.
Wow, thank you. I have spent every day in this dissertation program worried that someone would find an ivory-billed woodpecker. So now that I have my PhD, I'm free. They can find it, it's cool. So when I was thinking back on my 5.5 years here at USC Annenberg with my colleagues and my cohort and all of my friends and all of my fellow, my community here, I realized that there were two key themes that were interwoven within my research and within my presence here at USC, and it was very much this almost contradictory interwovenness of presence and absence. My time at USC, as many of ours was disrupted by COVID. And so while we were present in person, we were also absent from each other. We found community through Zoom, through eventually getting back to hybrid classes, and then finally being back in person. My research is also informed by presence and absence, by animals that are there but also not there. And when I was thinking back on things that I am immensely grateful for here at USC and here at Annenberg, I was thinking that what I was really excited about was the presence of my supportive community. And so I really want to thank here, those who were present for during my time here and for informing my scholarship, my growth as a scholar, and my community. And so I want to thank the advisors and mentors that were present throughout my dissertation. Jen, of course, Christina Dunbar-Hester, who could not be here today, and Devin Griffiths over in English. I want to thank the presence of administrative staff like Sarah, Troy, Allie, and Marie. And thank you again for allowing Annenberg to pay for some taxidermy classes, which might have been an odd request, to say the least. I want to thank the presence of my family, my parents who are here today physically, my grandfather who passed away a few days after defending my dissertation, but whose last photo that I have present on my phone is of him holding my dissertation. I want to thank my sister who is absent today because she is moving and starting a new job in Boston. And I want to thank everybody that is present here, my friends, my colleague, my cohorts. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Dr. Fam, Becky Fam. Becky will be headed by Professor Jenkins. The title of Becky's dissertation is Pop Transnational Ambivalence, Vietnamese American Youth Engagement with the Korean Wave.
So I feel like we should be at this point doing the kinds of jokes they do at the Oscars. We're 90 minutes into this thing and not slowing down yet. But I think it should demonstrate to you that we don't create commodities through the graduate program here. Each of our grad student has been hand-tooled and handcrafted from birth, and we're able to create something unique emerges from that. And what you're hearing are love stories between faculty and students, between students and their topics that deserve the time to breathe. And I think that's an important thing for us to acknowledge here. So from the beginning, Becky Fam identified herself as having a strong interest in media consumption within the family and with media literacy as a pedagogical activity. Fam is a highly productive scholar coming to us with a wealth of collaborative publications, and she's developed multiple more publications during her time doing coursework in the program. Through her participation in my fandom seminar, I discovered she had an emerging expertise in popular culture from East Asia. and particular K-pop and South Korean film and television. For that class, she wrote a paper on the shifting perceptions of K-pop fans in Vietnam, how public discourse was framed by nationalism, and in particular, how it was set against the cultural value placed on studying hard for national exams. So some parents here might think K-pop was the enemy of getting your kid through here, but it also gets kids through. And so she traced a range of moral panics in the national press and identified some cultural factors at play. Eventually, that essay became an article in Transformative Works and Cultures, which has helped to place her on the map of other K-pop scholars. Now, it's easy to listen to all of the lofty topics of our colleagues here who are dealing with life and death issues, and for those of us who study pop culture to feel a little inadequate, right? We shouldn't, right? What she's writing about nothing less than the question of how teenagers find their identity, develop a sense of who belongs and who doesn't belong at a time where we've seen waves of Asian hate in American society. I can't think of anything, more important from my point of view than that, right? So some of you may not know K-pop is a global phenomenon. I'm betting this is a generational divide in this room, and if you're under a certain age, you've probably gone to multiple K-pop concerts, because we're at a moment where Hollywood's dominance over the global media marketplace is essentially over, and the next decades are going to be divided between Korea, China, Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, all of whom are going to be contenders at one point or another as the most important producers of pop culture in the world. And something like 40% of content watched on Netflix now is non-American, non-English language content, of which probably 25% is Korean content, if just judging by what's there on when I pull up Netflix and just scan what's out there. So this is a phenomenon we're going to be talking about and thinking about for a long time to come. So I invited her to be the Vietnamese perspective in the Global Fandom Jamboree I organized for my Confessions of an Aka Fan blog, where she joined representatives from more than 42 other countries in dialogic writing. It says something to my confidence in her that she was the only current USC grad student who I chose to participate, and that I paired her with Iljin Lee, who was an adjunct teaching the K-pop classes in our program, and the leader in making Annenberg a center for the study of Korean popular culture. Bam has written a sparkling dissertation which explores what K-pop means in the lives of Vietnamese American youth. She has found that on the one hand, there is pride and pleasure in forms of popular music created by and for Asians, and a special excitement when a member of a boy or girl band is from Southeast Asia rather than the Korean peninsula. On the other hand, there are often bruising encounters where they seek to claim K-pop as their own and run up against Korean fans who are carefully producing the borders of who can and cannot claim K-pop. She's mapping the tensions between pop cosmopolitanism and fan nationalism with vivid stories and quotes from the many young people she's encountered through her fieldwork. She is one of several students whose passion for K-pop, K-drama, and K-genre films have opened my own eyes to the richness of East Asian pop culture, and especially the complex configurations of taste and power reshaping the lives of these young fans, Asian American, and otherwise. And I have to say that your own journey has enough plot twist and drama that it would serve the plot for a good K-drama in and of itself, right? From the pandemic to floods to health crises to health funding crises, immigration concerns to bruising encounters with other committee members. She has been in there fighting every inch of the way with a level of toughness and determination I rarely see. right? I sometimes think that the earth would open up and swallow you, and you'd still be in there fighting your way out to get to this point, to get on the stage. And I'm so proud of that tough determination. So she's leaving us for a faculty position in Japan, having resisted the lure of a competing job offer from a major Vietnamese institution. So with that, I'm still learning how to be a K-pop fan, but I want to end with hopefully get this right.
Good afternoon, everyone. So it has been truly a gift for me to study transnational media at USC Annenberg in Los Angeles, surrounded by world-class scholars, teachers, and friends. The power of transnational media has allowed me, a Vietnamese, to do research on not just Vietnamese media, but also American, Korean, Chinese, and soon Japanese media. I am especially indebted to the Vietnamese American community in California who welcomed me, shared their stories, and became the heart of my dissertation. First, I want to thank Professor Henry Jenkins, who is not only the chair, but also the encyclopedia, the book, the projector, and most importantly, the friend. I want to thank Professors Tom Holohan, Hector Amaya, Hernan Galperin, Colin McClay, Lang Yung, Laurie Lopez, Tasha Oren, Gillian Pearson, Sun Sun Lim, Leah Witioko, and also the legendaries Sarah Hoteman, Anne Marie Campion, and Amanda Ford for your constant support. To my mother and my family, growing up with a single mom in conservative Vietnam in the 1990s was rough. Sorry. And my mom cannot be here today, but today I stand here as a PhD from USC. So thank you, Mom. Con cảm ơn mẹ và con cảm ơn gia đình. Sorry. To my partner, Mr. Rila Kumar, who is here, thank you for bringing me joy every day. Thank you for always being there for me. Finally, to all my dear friends who are here and are not here, especially to my cohort mates, Soyun, Max, Fes, Pam, Lichen, and Jack. I think Jack is here. Yeah. So I wish I had the time to name you all, but there were many moments where I thought I would give up, but you were the reason why I keep going. So thank you. Thank you.
Okay, 3 more to go. Very special candidates who we uniquely crafted, as my colleague Henry just said. The next one is Dr. Essence Wilson. Dr. Wilson will be hooded by Professor Robin Stevens. Essence dissertation is titled Roll to Black Jasmine, Developing and Testing a Participatory Animation Design Intervention Approach for Black Youth with Depressive Experiences.
Oh, shoot. Essence, I had to put this in like 42-point font. Okay. Dr. Essence Lynn Wilson. Yes. I first met Essence the same way I first met LA. She was my first student here, and I was in a new city. And she introduced me. We found out we had a lot of things in common. So I will use some of our commonalities to talk a little bit about your story. Me and Essence both love Kendrick Lamar, okay? We do. We love him. We do. And Essence is a true LA native. She represents the city so beautifully and is one of the great ambassadors for LA. And she also likes musicals like Hamilton. Sorry, I outed you, but so do I. Okay. So we were both fighting to grow together, to get to know each other and bloom through the screen. But there's a couple lyrics that I think embody your journey and what I've come to know about you. Number one, when the Kendrick Lamar says, "It's not enough." That was our back and forth for the whole 5 years. Because I would say, Essence, your work, I mean, that's huge. This is enough. And she would say, no, it's not enough. We need to go farther. We need to go harder. And so eventually she won me over, and I'm going to share with you some of the amazing things she's accomplished. Excuse me. She always had a clear vision that she wanted to use her time and her talents to help improve and uplift the lives of Black youth. She had worked at CSUN on similar issues, and she knew that Black youth in particular faced very specific struggles that have led to alarming increases in suicide rates. And so we are in a national crisis around it, and Essence decided, I will use my gifts, specifically this dissertation and beyond, to try to make a change there. And I said, Essence, it's just a dissertation. We don't have to do all that. She said, it's not enough. We have to go further. So she learned and mastered new tools, technologies, theories, and she always remixed it to say, would this fit? Can I use this to help them, right? And sometimes it did, and sometimes it didn't. But Essence never stopped. She never took her foot off the gas. And so she landed on a project to develop a whole intervention for Black youth experiencing depressive episodes. You don't have to do all of that to get a PhD, but she did. She ideated it. She wrote the theory. She worked the theories around it. She pilot tested it. She did community engaged work, which means sometimes we tell our students, just, do something a little more simple. No, she said, I want the youth at the table. They're going to help me develop this project. So she had a youth board working. Essence said, you know what I think this should be? Animated. I said, Essence, boo, you're not an animator. And she said, doesn't matter. It's not enough to just do the standard. We're going to go farther. So she built a collaboration with another university and got their students to animate her intervention, working back and forth with them. So the road to Black Jasmine is really a road that she paved herself. That's the name of the intervention, that she paved herself. It is beautiful. It is a testament, and it is just the beginning. And I said sometimes, Essence, hey, you don't really have a budget for that. And Essence said, ha, every opportunity, I'm going to take it. So she did, and she found outside money and funders to support this work. She designed, she implemented, she pilot tested. And just when I thought, I was like, Essence, that's enough. She said, no. We're going to keep going. She did more iterations of the intervention. She then worked to lead and mentor other students. Anytime I have a new student, they can talk to Essence. Essence is going to tell them about LA, the program, everything. She's a wide open book, and she's just generous with our community. And so, to go to Hamilton, there's a song where he says, I'm not throwing away my shot. You have never neglected an opportunity or a chance to grow or even a critique. You take it and you run and you grow. I have no doubt that whatever industry is lucky enough to get you, and I'm like trying to plant you on the inside of some of them, you are going to continue to amplify the voices of Black teens and to work to improve their journeys. I know you will never stop. And I'm just so darn proud of you. So, Essence, Dr. Essence Lynn Wilson of Los Angeles, Inglewood, California. I'd like to introduce you to one of our greats. Thank you.
It's funny you mentioned Kendrick Lamar. I'm going to see him next week, by the way. But where to begin? There were some people that told me that I was going to grow out of my fandomness, animation. And jokes on them, I ended up getting a PhD literally in animation production. I can't believe I got my PhD, and I never thought I would see myself in this position, especially when it comes to animation itself. Because how could something so limitless, with so much potential, not represent me or the Black teens out there? So with that reality and the community that I wanted to attain, I am immensely proud of my commitment and work towards obtaining my doctoral degree. And my degree was a community-engaged approach where each collaborator designed a path to Road to Black Jasmine, a film I produced and tested with and for Black teens. I want to thank the following people, the collaborators a part of this project, and just my overall development within my education, who I not be able to complete it. I want to start with my mother, Shanice Canty. She's over there. Hi, Mom. You have been and always will be my rock, as I am yours. I can count so many ways you have been there for me, and I know I wouldn't be here without you. I want to give a special thank you to my grandpa, Eugene Wilson, who unfortunately is not here right now. He's fine. But he basically set the pathway, who began a generational shift by leaving, no shade to Alabama, but he left Alabama to come here in 1959 with only the clothes on his back and laid the pathway for this generation to come in. And speaking of the next generation, I see my little nephew is here, Nash, and my little cousin, Carter, so I'm glad to have this intervention for them as they continue their growing path. And I want to show my immense gratitude to my USC colleagues and team. I want to thank you, Robin Stevens, for being there for me for all these years. And I was being stubborn with moments too, like I want to get this project across, and it went perfectly, I would say. I want to thank Dr. Brandisha Times, who is not here right now, but she's in the education department. Lindsay Young, thank you for so much of your help. Dr. Lynn Miller, thank you so much. And then to the animation team, Mike Libinati and Rosa Fair, who were extraordinary in terms of creating this intervention. I want to thank everybody, my youth advisors, and I actually want to give their names a shout out as they made this project come into fruition. It's Amaya Dubes, Angela Covington, Sydney Talbert, Isaiah Dawson, Akai Robinson, Ashley Savannah. That this intervention is yours. And of course for the next generation. And then the community organizers who helped me along the way, Bernard Robbins, Sydney Lodge, Heavenlyn Turner, as well as my Cal State University colleagues as well. And of course, I want to thank my fellow PhD colleagues and friends for supporting me along the way. From those who are graduating to those who recently passed their qualifying exams, I see all of you up there. You have been immense in terms of providing me the support, the care, allowing me to vent when it came to unique moments in my academic career. And lastly, I guess to kind of tie a bow to this, thank you, Kendrick Lamar, for really making it a perfect year of music for me to rile me up in writing this dissertation. It was perfect. Thank you. Oh, this one. Okay.
Okay, next we celebrate, I think I can say Professor Lichen Zen, because Lichen has been already, she's finishing her first year as an assistant professor at Penn State. Lichen will be hooded by Professor Patty Riley. And before I turn over to Patty, I want to say, Lichen, it's been a pleasure having you. We worked together, we published together, we're in class together, and I'm really glad you came back to celebrate this moment with your cohort, with our faculty. So thank you and congratulations.
Thank you. Robin, I see what you mean. Once you're up here, the font should be bigger. I love it. Hello, and congratulations to all the other graduates out there. I met a lot of you during COVID, and I remember when we would wander down the halls, and after we were maskless, people would say hi to me, and I would go, "Who is that?" Because I didn't recognize you without your masks, and it was just one of those situations where you realize that the brain works in very mysterious ways. Lichen came to me fully formed as an adult. The University of Texas had done a wonderful job training her. And she was an excellent methodologist. She's a wonderful statistician. She's great at designing studies. And so that gave us time to talk about other things. And while Texas introduced her to football, I introduced her to baseball. And so, she claims to be a Dodger fan. We'll see. Lichen has been working her tail off for years. She's already got a bunch of publications in all the best journals in our discipline. And I have discovered that she's very inventive and creative in her work. Her study allowed people to shine in ways that most of them don't even know. Employee voice, which is one of her main areas of thought, is a fascinating piece. It really is, because it allows people who don't really have a voice to create it in a very inventive way in an online situation, which allows them, like some of these other studies, where people find community online, and so they can make a difference in their organizations. And she has, helped lots of people, I think, figure out how employee voice can work when you can't actually do it in your own organization. And most of the people in her study are not Americans. They're from other places where employee voice has traditionally been difficult. But I'm sure that the U.S. is going to learn from this, as, communication is not always easy here either. And so this is one of those studies where we hope lots of people will read it. She is not just this wonderful scholar, self-possessed, but she's also very selfless. My best Lichen story is I was out of town. I think I was in Indonesia, and she helped one of my other advisees get the statistics straight for a conference presentation, and I am eternally grateful for that. She has her fan club here. Her mom is here from Shanghai. And we met last night over Google Translate, and it allowed us to have a very cute conversation over dim sum. And I am much appreciative of how much better all this technology has become in all the years I've been working with international students. Her partner's here from Philadelphia, and I've discovered that the one thing that I have not been able to share with Lichen is she's now a Philly steak fan. And so it's just one of those things. We're both foodies, and so this is a wonderful, wonderful moment. I've had some time to get used to her not being here. Besides this year, she won one of the dissertation full ride fellowship awards, and so she's been gone for me from almost 2 years, but we meet at conferences, and she will always be one of my most favored people on the planet.
Thank you so much, Patty, for the warmest introduction ever. But looking back, my 5 years here as an Annenberg PhD student, I think I am most grateful for is being surrounded by a wonderful group of scholars, colleagues, friends, who helped me actually find my own voice. I was lost at the beginning when I first started this PhD program. I was literally lost on the 6th-lane highway in Los Angeles. However, I've been questioning myself the most is, where do I fit in academia? I was like a kid walking into a candy store, so excited to explore, but so unsure whether there is a place for my voice. I was extremely fortunate to have the best mentors, friends, and family around me who helped me find my voice along the way. They have given me the faith I have never had in myself and made me understand I should believe in my own voice and pursue the scholarly passion inside me. So I want to start first. Thank you, Patty, for your unwavering support and guidance in the past 5 years. And Patty is the most supportive advisor you can ever have. She always took me to lunch, and every conversation with you has been lit a spark in my work. I want to thank my dissertation committee member, Dr. Marlon Twyman, and Dr. Emmy Young as well. I have learned tremendously from you, and I don't think she's here today. You gave the most honest and constructive feedback on paper writing, on data analysis, but you also always tell me to keep positive, and which I really appreciate. I also want to thank my Koreatown family, my cohort, and all my friends in my program with whom I shared binge writing sessions, late night conversations, beach strolls, and many, many, many good foods. I want to thank my partner, Sean, who's always been there for me when I have my self-defeating thoughts. And I also want to thank my mom and my dad, 谢谢爸爸妈妈, for giving themselves selflessly to raising the person who I am today. Thank you all.
And our very last candidate, Dr. Iljin Lee. Dr. Lee will be heard by Professor Andrea Hollingshead. Dr. Lee's dissertation is titled Algorithmic Management in the AI-Driven Workforce, Worker Dynamics, and Gig Worker Well-Being.
Had to get my speech. So, anyway, it's an honor to be here. This is such an exciting day, and I often get emotional at these this event every year, regardless of whether I have a student graduating or not. It's an amazing, amazing accomplishment of all of our graduates to get through the program to earn a dissertation. And I feel the enormity of that accomplishment. I also feel the love and the joy and the gratitude of all of you, but then also all of the support of everyone in this room. I think our graduates would agree that it wouldn't be possible without that love and support from everyone here. So anyway, thank you. Speaking of love and support, I'm very excited today. I'm going to meet Eugene's mom for the first time. Where is she? Hi! Hi! I can't wait to meet you. And where's Kai? Kai! Oh, there you are. Hi, Kai. Okay, yeah. So they too flew from Korea to be here today. And when we talk about support, I've heard people from India, China, multiple people from Korea. It's just incredible how much love and support there is. So anyway, I look forward to that. So let me lift this up a little bit. It's just been truly an honor and a gift, Eugene, for me to have the opportunity to work with you and advise you over these last 5 years. Eugene will be joining the faculty at Rutgers University this fall as an assistant professor of communication. Her dream job, and she's going to be with an amazing faculty of people who do work in your area. So they're incredibly lucky to have her, and it's personally bittersweet for me to see you go. I'm going to miss you. It's been a wonderful 5 years. We've become friends and confidants, and I feel very close to you. But at the same time, you are definitely ready to leave the nest, and you are going to soar. For many of us here on the stage, our relationships with our PhD students are our closest personal relationships, and I think you all heard that today. We think of our PhD students as our academic children, as our best friends, as our closest collaborators, and our relationships don't end today. At graduation, they evolve, but they still stay ever close. Our former PhD students become our valued collaborators. They continue working with us, our closest confidants, and our lifelong friends. So we continue in the future. Eugene came to us from her master's program at the University of Minnesota, and she was extremely highly recommended. I mean, extremely, by one of our former Annenberg graduate students, Professor Matt Weber, and who was her academic advisor there. And so I had such high expectations for you, Eugene, but you exceeded the bar. Equivalent to the all-round gymnast. She's a master at all aspects of the academic enterprise, and I think you're well positioned to be the next Simone Biles in organizational communication. She has so many strengths and so few weaknesses. Her research tackles a future-oriented and a critical problem in today's workplace. She's studying the well-being of gig workers with the rise of AI. And today I actually read an article in the New York Times about this subject, which is incredible. Gig workers' earnings have gone down, in some cases 20% since 2021, and they have more of a loss of control. They feel that, and I know your research is going to help address that in the future. I'm excited to brag a little bit about her because, like Simone Biles, she's very humble. But Eugene has an outstanding publication record, one of the best I've ever seen, with 19 journal articles and 4 top student paper conference awards. This is just amazing. I just am so proud of you. Yay, Eugene. Eugene takes every single opportunity to present her work. She's been at so many conferences. I counted 41 different different opportunities that you've taken to present your work at different conferences. She's already very well known and well respected in the field. Everybody knows you already. Yeah, so it's incredible. She is so dedicated to everything she does. I've only heard wonderful things about you from faculty members. Every semester, a lot of faculty members, we compete to get you to work with us. And I actually was able to get you one semester as my TA for my class, and she was amazing, and the students loved you so much. I mean, it was amazing. Eugene is a people person. She connects and listens with empathy. People seek her out for advice. I know I have. She's an excellent communicator. You'll hear in a second. And she's an amazing teacher. And I think you're going to be so beloved at Rutgers. I'm so excited for you. She's also a great team player and leader. She's currently leading a collaborative intensive project with me and 2 other junior graduate students, and it's so wonderful for them to have that experience with you as a mentor and role model. But, I'm talking a lot about the personal things because I think you're an amazing scholar. We've all heard about that, but you're such a wonderful person. She's incredibly poised and calm and kind. I've never heard you complain about anything or anyone. She joined our program, as you've heard, at the height of the pandemic. And, it was a challenge for people, but, you accepted the challenge and you excelled during that time. Even at your most pressure-packed moments, such as preparing for job interviews, you did not even break a sweat. There was a popular American TV show in the 1990s called Everyone Loves Raymond, starring the comedian Ray Romano. I think some of you might remember that in the U.S. I think there should be a sequel called Everyone Loves Eugene, starring Iljin Lee. Eugene, we love you. We love you. We love you. I'm so incredibly excited about your future. It's so bright, it's blinding. So congratulations, Eugene. I'm speechless, so thank you.
Wow, that was a wonderful, wonderful speech. Thank you so much, Andrea. Hi, everyone. I know I'm the last voice between our amazing reception out there and this hearing, so I'm going to make this short. Getting a PhD is a long, humbling journey. You spend years trying to become an expert in something specific, only to realize how much more there is that you don't know. There were wonderful moments and really tough ones, but what got me through this was my community here at Annenberg. Andrea, thank you. I still remember those early Zoom meetings during COVID. We did weekly check-in on one another. She drove around the area, downtown LA, the area that I was looking forward to move. And I was completely remote, so I had no control of visiting the neighborhood. And she wanted to make sure that I stay safe. I was so moved by that, and I knew that you were my person right at that moment. I really look forward to our continued journey. I love our well-being research crew. I would love to do more projects and develop our project further. I also want to thank Marlon, Lindsay, Aimee, Dimitri, and Hector, and all the faculty that I met at Annenberg. You've been a tremendous inspiration for me. I will carry your example with me as I begin my own path as an assistant professor at Rutgers. To my friends and cohorts, you've been my emotional support group, my brainstorming buddies, and you're the reason I stay grounded. Where you live, who you live with this journey with is so important to me. And I'm so lucky to have you in this. I especially want to honor Isabel, whose memory stays with us and whose presence we miss deeply. I know she's watching us, so I wanted to mention her. Thank you, Sarah and Anne-Marie. I would be a mess without you, as you know. Thank you for all the reminders. Thank you for all the work that you do. Really appreciate it. Lastly, my mom and my dad and my family. Thank you so much for flying here from South Korea. And my partner, Kai, soon to be my husband. Yay! Thank you for believing in me before I believed in myself. Thank you for encouraging me to take this leap of faith, even when it meant moving across the world all alone. You stood by me through every high and low. Your love, your prayers, and your support gave me the courage to keep going. I always joke that partners of PhD students should get an honorary degree, and I really mean it. So thank you so much for being there for me always, Kai. Thank you. Everyone, now it's time for us to enjoy. Let's go out and have drinks and take lots and lots of pictures and have a great, fantastic night together. Thank you.
Okay, this concludes our ceremony, but before we do that, and I turn to Hector for concluding remarks, yes? But before we do that, I wanna read the names of all our new doctors again, and join me in celebrating Dr. Soyun An, Dr. Max Richa, Dr. Nicole Bush, Dr. Rohan Grover, Dr. Anna Bukovski, Dr. Iljin Yang, Dr. Fes Nan, Dr. Pam Param, Dr. Becky Fam, Dr. Estance Wilson, Dr. Professor Lichen Zen, Dr. Jin Lee. Congratulations.
Let me just quickly finish by noting perhaps what is obvious. Professors tend to be associated with words like rigor and method and precision and such, but as you can see, we are romantics, we are idealists, we believe in knowledge, we work with our hearts as much as with our minds, we believe in a better future, we believe that we can do something about it. Thank you for participating in this ritual that celebrates these values to all of us. Thank you. And, sure. Yes, yes. Students, faculty, we need a few pictures.